Hello guys, and welcome to the second part of our to-do list. In this section we are going to make the changes or the data permanent using MongoDB. But before, let's do a brief introduction to MongoDB. So I'm going to head over my terminal, and I'm not going to cover how to install MongoDB in Ubuntu or Linux, but you can start and stop the service by doing sudo service mongodb start or stop, and that's how you start and stop the service. And you can verify whether the service is running by doing pse grep mongodb, and it'll give you the process ID and the name of the daemon running, which is in this case mongodb. And so in order to enter the MongoDB terminal, just do Mongo and press enter, and that should give you the blinking cursor with which is the lets you know that you are inside MongoDB terminal. So in order to see the database that you have installed, do show DBs, and it'll give you all the databases. You can use a specific database, or before using a specific database you have to do the use database command followed by the name of the database. In this case I'm going to do use users and press enter, and now it says switch to DB users. You can drop that database by doing DB drop database, and now database is dropped. If I do show DBs, now the users database is no longer there. So I'm going to, in order to create a database, I'm going to use, if the database is not created, you can do the use keyword followed by the database name. In this case I'm going to call it users, and I'm going to press enter. So now I'm inside the users database. In order to clear the screen, you can do CLR or CLS, and that'll clear the screen. Next I'm going to create a collection, which I guess it will be kind of the equivalent of the table in a relational database. So I'm going to do DB. Oh, by the way, you can do show collection and to show all the collections inside your database, but in this case we don't have any collections, so I'm going to do DB create collections or collection, and then I'm going to pass the name of my collection. I'm going to name it users. It's going to be a collection that is going to hold users' first name and last name. So now if I do show collections again, now I have the users collection inside the users database. Maybe I should rename the collection list, not to be too redundant. So I'm going to drop that collection by doing DB users drop, and that is going to drop the users collection. Now if I recall the previous command, show collection, I shouldn't have any collection inside my database. So I'm going to create a different collection. I'm going to create it with create collection. I'm going to call it list. Show collection, that is my list collection, and I'm going to insert data into my collection, and I'm going to say DB list insert def name John, comma, L name for last name Smith, and of course it needs to be inside curly braces. And notice how every single is the first name, and they separated by a comma. So I'm going to press enter. If I do now DB list.find, it'll give me the document inside my collection. You can do, there is a function called pretty. You can do db list find dot pretty, and this will print it in a JSON formatted style, easier to read. As you can see, we have key and data value pair. So I'm going to insert another document. I'm going to say db list insert, and I'm going to call this one Jane, and last name Doe, and that is going to be my second document. So if I do db list find dot print, actually pretty, now I have to document inside my collection. I wanted to remove a document from my collection. Let's say that I wanted to remove this object right here. So I can say db list remove, and I'm going to pass the object. I'm going to say if name equals Jane, comma L name equals Doe, and I'm going to press enter. It says and remove one. If I go back to the previous command and I print my collection, I only have one document. So that's how we insert data inside our collection and remove data. I can drop that collection by doing db list drop. Now if I do show collections, I shouldn't have any inside my database. And finally, I can delete the database by doing db drop database. And if I do show DBs now, the user's database is not there anymore. And so this is the quick intro to MongoDB that I wanted to cover. So let's head back into our application. I'm going to exit out of here. And I need to make sure that I'm inside my my projects directory, and I need to install another package. This one is called mongoose, and so I'm going to say npm install mongoose save. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to let that finish, and next I'm going to head back into my application, into my Sublime code, and at the very top I'm going to type var mongoose require mongoose. Next, I need to establish a connection to my database, so I'm going to say a comment that says mongoose connection, and I'm going to say mongoose dot connect. And so MongoDB column followed by the URL, so I'm going to say localhost / and I'm going to name my database to-do, and I'm going to end it with a semicolon. I'm going to say that, but before I need to make sure that my to-do database is created. So I'm going to go back into terminal. I'm going to type mongo, press enter, and I'm going to say show DBs. And this is my to-do database, so I'm going to use to-do, and I'm going to show collections, and I have a collection called to do, and I want to see what's inside. Actually, I'm going to make it. I'm just going to drop the to do database. Say db to do. Actually, drop database, and I'm going to say show DBs again. Okay, so the to-do database is gone. I'm going to recreate it again. I'm going to say use to-do. So my to-do database is already created. Next, I'm going to delete the to-do list array, since I no longer need that. Actually, I don't want to delete it. I'm just going to comment it out, and I'm going to create a mongoose schema. So I'm going to say comment mongoose schema, and this schema is going to be kind of like a template for me to insert documents inside my collection. So I'm going to say var to do schema equals new mongoose schema. Of course, you don't need to know this by memory. I have my notes here. Sometimes when I don't remember something, I have to look at my notes. Unless you have to type this every single day, it's very difficult to remember everything by memory. So my schema is really simple. I'm going to have a key with the name of name, and followed by a string, which is going to be the to-do item. And so that's it for my schema. Next, I want to create a to-do object. I'm going to call it capital to-do, and I'm going to say mongoose model to-do, comma to-do schema. And next, I'm going to come down here to my default route, and I'm going to say to-do.find, and this is going to find all the documents inside my collection. And I'm going to, the first parameter is going to be open and close curly braces, followed by function error, comma to-do list. And I'm going to say if there is an error, I'm going to console log that error. In the else section, I am going to retrieve the information. I'm going to move this and I'm going to place it here. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to restart Node. So I'm going to Ctrl+C and restart Node, heading back into the browser. If I refresh, now notice that I don't have anything. I'm not passing the array anymore, so I'm pulling I'm displaying data straight from the database. But of course, my database does not contain any collections. So I'm going to add a collection, and I'm going to add a couple of documents. So I'm going to say db create collection. The name of my collection is going to be to-dos. Actually, the correct command is collection singular. So I'm going to say collection. There we go. So next I'm going to add documents inside my collection. So I'm going to say insert name. I'm going to get it from here. We don't have to type too much. And I'm going to add this one too. Basically what I'm doing, I'm adding data to my collection so I can display it in the browser. Ctrl-Shift-V, and if I do to-do, db to-dos, find that pretty, there we go. So we have data inside our collection now. If we head back into the browser, we refresh the page, and notice that we have some weird string display along with name followed by the string. And if we go back into our index.ejs page, remember the JavaScript code that we were using, we had it in a way that it would display, it would work for an array list. So we want to modify this so it works for our JSON objects. So remember that according to data inserted into our collection, we have a key value pair, or this JSON object that has a key of name followed by the string. So when we pass the to-do list, and we are iterating through every single to-do list, we basically are iterating through every single JSON object inside our collection. So we want to access the string by using the name key. So I'm going to say that name. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go back into my application, and I'm going to refresh it, and now it works as it's supposed to work. So the only thing that we're missing now is to implement the PostRoute. So I'm going to head back into the PostRoute, and I'm going to, here where it says var item, instead of assigning the string to the item, what I need to do is create a JSON object. So I'm going to say new to do, and I'm going to say name followed by the item that I'm getting from the input field. It is a string that I'm assigning. That's how I'm building the key value pair. And finally, I'm going to close the curly braces and close the parentheses. And in this section, instead of pushing it to an array, what I want to do, I want to say to do create item, comma, function. I'm going to call it new item, and I'm going to call it new item. Okay, so function error, comma, to do with capital T, which is this to do object right here, which is the instantiation of the model database. And I'm going to open closing curly braces, and I'm going to say if error console log error, and else console log, I'm going to say inserted item followed by new item, and at the end I need to still redirect into my my default route. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to stop and restart Node. If I can get there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go back into my browser, refresh the page, and if I submit an item, you can clearly see the item being added to the list. And if I go back to the terminal, you can see the logs displaying the item that it was submitted. So this is how you insert data into the database. This is how you display data from the database within Node using Express. And that's it for this TodoList application using Node, Express, and MongoDB. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and as always, support the channel by subscribing, and thanks for watching.